and I welcome everyone to service. And I'm so happy to have Reverend Veronica Valles here today from Dallas, Texas, and Harold Payne streaming from San Pedro, if I recall correctly. And I just welcome the consciousness of everyone here today. We're going to start out service by having Harold share a musical offering. And with Harold, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's always perfect. So here we go. I'm going to spotlight you.
In the midst of chaos, I see a ray of hope, a coming together of unprecedented scope, a return to oneness and compassion, with simple kindness is the first reaction. Where all rancor is released, this is a call to peace. There have been times when we've been tested, felt isolated and disconnected, but we are stronger than our fears, and the future's brighter than it appears. We can build on our common beliefs. This is a call to peace. It's a call to peace. It's a call to love. It's a call to the greatness we're all made of. It's a call to peace. It's a call to love. My brother and my sister, and we all know there's a bond between us that we can't let go. I'll hear your truth and you hear mine. We'll respect each other until we find that all bitterness can simply cease. This is a call to peace. It's a call to peace. It's a call to love. It's a call to the greatness we're all made of. It's a call to peace. Oh, it's a call to love. It's a call to the greatness we're all made of. It's a call to peace. It's a call to love.
Thank you so much, Harold. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
So I'm going to share my screen right now so we can just take a moment to be experiencing this medication called meditation. And I love that we have meditation as a part of our service because it's ancient and it is so you don't have to read any medical journal very far or see a pamphlet at Kaiser or whatever before you realize that everyone is integrating meditation because of its benefits for the mind, for the body, for the spirit, for resting the mind, but also this is an ancient call. It's a call to peace. It's a call to listen to the divine. It's a call to intuition. So let's just take a moment and look at the screen together with a deep breath as we just focus on what's really important. As we breathe a sacred breath. somehow looking at that picture just makes everything trivial fade away. It makes everything that is transitory just go away. And I realize what is really permanent. As I'm looking up at those stars, I just realize that each one is just an awesome miracle. I'm looking millions of miles, millions of light years into the past. And with the lights down in the lake, I'm looking at the symbol maybe of each one of the souls here, the 8 billion souls on this planet. I'm looking at the symbol of the light of each one of us and all those who came before. And to me, I just see those lights dancing on that river, just filled with love and filled with the things that are really important. So as I breathe, I'm just calling to that love. I'm calling to be more aware and cognizant that love is all there is. Regardless of world condition, I'm being called to peace. And so with each breath in, I'm breathing that peace, breathing that peace in, and breathing that peace out. If you're comfortable, just close your eyes and just melt into that peace right now, just letting it truly become part of your vibration right now. This is also a call to gratitude. So grateful for this chance to gather together. Grateful for every cell in my body. Grateful for this life. Grateful to be building consciousness with each word that's said in today's service, with each musical note that inspires us. So grateful to be able to come here together. So I'm breathing that in and breathing that out. As I take another deep breath in, I'm just thinking about divine order and divine intelligence. How I don't have to think consciously about breathing in and breathing out. It's just done for me. My heartbeat knows how to beat. Every cell knows what to do. And so each one of us as a cell of the universal body can just let go and let God in this moment, trusting the divine intelligence and the divine order of things. So grateful for that. Just centering myself with each breath. Now on the light and the hope and the faith and the love of this season. Every time I see a Christmas ornament or see a star just thinking that it is a symbol of the great light. So I'm letting that light wash over me right now. And so in this divine love and in this divine order and in this divine intelligence, there is wholeness. There is healing happening in this very moment and in every sacred moment. And there is abundance. Abundance in all things. Abundance in joy, peace, love, wisdom, harmony, intelligence. Abundance in healing. So I'm opening myself up, willing and receptive to that realization as we share in this sacred moment of community together. So I'm going to take another deep, energizing breath and just feeling the oxygen just so clear as I slowly open my eyes and I look at the image again of light. And so I'm welcoming in all things. I'm calling in all things, metaphysically opening up my hands and heart, metaphysically opening up my ears, as Michael Beckwith says, the ear behind the physical ear, the heart behind the physical heart, and the eyes behind the physical eyes, as we open into this service today. For this, I'm truly grateful. And so it is. And Betsy, I'm going to spotlight you for today's readings.
Today's reading is from the Unity Daily Word, adapted by Reverend David. Life is about perspective, especially in the face of change. If I find myself resisting change, I remember there are no coincidences and that all is in divine order. When I see through this perspective, I have the power to make everything that happens in my life positive. I am strong and resilient as I meet life's changes. And so it is. Please join me in our opening affirmation. There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life, God in everything and everyone. The one infinite source of love, abundance, harmony, wholeness, intelligence, and joy is expressing as me.
Thank you, Betsy. Oops. I need to put 2 more letters in that to make it Veronica's talk.
It's okay, make it shorter.
And I'm going to spotlight you. Reverend Veronica, welcome. We give you a warm Zoom welcome.
Thank
All the
you.
way to Dallas, Texas. So glad you're here.
I am too. I know my lighting's a little bright. Let's adjust, but it's so good to be here. And thank you for that beautiful meditation, and Harold, the beautiful music. And, as we talk about hope and faith, we are beginning in traditional Christianity, the Advent season. So I'm just going to touch on it just very briefly, because it is part of the landscape of the world we live in here in the United States, right? So I grew up Catholic, and the Advent season for us, from a Catholic perspective, was just really the anticipation of the birth of Christ. And, it's not in the Bible because it didn't come around until about the 4th century. And I think it was Pope St. Gregory in the 5th century that really made Advent part of the liturgical season. But it's the, 4 weeks typically before Christmas, which actually is when they combined with the winter solstice. And so essentially we're entering the fruitful darkness. And the practice of Advent with the wreath that comes from Germany, I think it's 16th century, there's 4 candles, 3 are purple, 1 is pink, and then there's a 5th candle in the middle. So the purple candles in traditional Christianity represent repentance. They're preparing themselves for the birth of Christ. They're also honoring the Holy Spirit that they is the Christ presence, and then they're waiting for the coming of Christ. And then the pink is the joy of all of that, and then the white is the purity of Christ. But what we know in New Thought is that the preparation is always a daily cultivation of our consciousness. And Charles Fillmore, one of the co-founders of Unity, even said, he goes, that perfect Christ, that is divine mind, is already within us. And he says, as you think in your heart, so it is. And so the Advent season, for me personally, is that this time of winter is when we're supposed to, what they say, lie fallow. And it's really about going deep within, which kind of contradicts the United States kind of materialistic season, because it's all about Christmas and shopping. And trust me, I love the lights. I'm not a big shopper, but I love the lights. I love the festivity with family, but it's really a season about going in deeper. And so with Advent, in the traditional sense, there's 4 themes. And so I know Unity is following that. They have an Advent book that today is about hope and faith. And then there's peace, joy, and love. And so when I thought about, just following that path of hope, I had to drop into my heart and think about all that's happening in the world. And then all those times when the challenges that I experienced in this human realm, where that glimmer of hope really was that spark that kept me alive in my faith. So hope is that perspective of the possibilities and the depth of something difficult. It's the candle. It's that flame of the candle as you enter a dark room. It's just that little glimmer that opens that possibility for whatever the next step that is arising. Because what we don't know is the next step, but what we hold in our heart is the intention of the demonstration. But what it does, hope inspires us to a positive change, that no matter how difficult the circumstance is, that there's this just knowing that there's something deeper, that there's something greater that is operating in our lives. And that I just know that that candle of that flame of that candle can be even brighter, but I have to stay true to who I am. And so the possibilities of that hope is what keeps my heart open, because it's easy to shift into hopelessness, especially if you're having, a personal crisis, whether it's illness or the loss of a family member or struggling financially. It's like, we can sometimes go too inward and then lose sight of that little bit of light, which is really the invitation that when challenges are happening in the human experience, that you turn, if you yourself can't turn to prayer, you turn to someone who can hold that hope and that prayer for you. They can hold that candle and that light for you. It allows us then to recognize that I can't know what's next. I can hold the intention. I can stay open to the possibilities. I can align in the spiritual truth, but I also just understand that sometimes things take time. So hope involves patience, and patience is that ability to just be present to what is while holding in your heart the possibility. We don't want to get in a place where we're lost in desire and suffering, because that can be easy. It's like, I have this expectation and this has to happen. Hope needs to be more of this open possibility of the heart, that I trust that something good and greater is, here now, but evolving in my life. Because if I look at my life and the circumstances of my life, I could have never imagined where I am now 30 years ago when I got sick with a chronic illness. So the hope was of health and wholeness, but I couldn't imagine all the people I met. I couldn't imagine, my life with my nieces and nephews. I couldn't imagine, becoming an ordained minister and teaching mindfulness, but I held the heart open of hope, of health and wholeness, so that I may be of service to that which is greater. Hope also involves courage, because it's this attitude of facing the unknown, especially when you are at some crisis point, or you're watching the news and you're seeing everything that's happening in the world, whether it's the wars or the refugees that are suffering, or just the atrocities that sometimes we see. It can really like want us to shut down. But the hope is that attitude of courage that allows me to rise up and to understand that the power that is within is greater than the chaos that I'm seeing, and that I have to stay true to the heart of spirit has got this some way, and to listen to what is my part in the evolution of consciousness on this planet. So you've got that personal hope when you're having a crisis, and then that collective hope. And then there's this persistence, all right? That determination to keep going no matter what, and to hold on to that candle, to hold on to that flame, meaning not clinging, but knowing that the light has more power than the darkness, right? So that's why when we are in the solstice, you would get the Christmas trees, right? The pagan tradition with lights on it, because that little light, that little glimmer of hope gives us such strength and possibility of our faith. But I like what Roshi John Halifax, who's a Buddhist teacher, was talking about wise hope. And she talks about how wise hope opens you to positive changes. She goes, because people can sometimes fall into pessimism, and then maybe they fall into overt optimism, meaning that they want to deny the reality, like they don't want to see what's going on, but I'm just going to be really, really positive because I don't want to deal with it. So we're not facing what's happening. And then she talks about being hopeful. And so she quoted a Barbara Kingslover, the author. And I love this, because for me, it made it really clear that when there's a situation that's happening that's challenging or difficult, whether we're experiencing or witness, we can move into pessimism easily. All right. That part of our brain that wants to keep us safe will just like, maybe go in a pessimistic way, just like nothing good's going to happen, so I need to turn from it. But Barbara Kingslover said, a pessimist in a certain situation, let's say, would say, it's going to be a terrible winter. We're all going to die. The optimist would say, it's going to be all right. I don't think it's going to be that bad. She goes, but the hopeful person would say, maybe someone will still be alive in February. So I'm going to put some potatoes in the root cellar just in case. And I like that, because it was just a shift in consciousness of a wise hope. That I'm looking at the current situation. I'm staying open to the possibility. I'm not clinging to an expectation or outcome. And especially in our spiritual practice, we know that something greater can reveal itself that we could not even imagine. So for me, that hope is that light in the darkness, is that candle flame when there's just that little bit of glimmer that's just necessary to keep my heart open. And so when it comes to faith, I was watching John Batiste, the singer-songwriter, and he has a new documentary on Netflix called American Symphony. And it is a phenomenal documentary if you haven't seen it yet. And what I loved about this documentary, when he was talking about faith, he said, and I'll quote, he says, you have to confront the brutal reality and at the same time have complete unwavering faith. And he was referencing his wife's second battle with cancer, and she was having to have a bone marrow transplant. And what was so beautiful about this documentary, because you see him go through his own vulnerability, go through his sharing of the anxiety experiences, even just as a musician and all, he's a Grammy Award-winning musician. And then, having the love of his life, dealing with this uncertainty and unknown with the cancer. And so for him, it was like he had to face that brutal reality while watching his wife facing her own mortality. And yet he said, you had to have complete faith. He says, I have faith that everything can change. And I have faith that everything is changing. He goes, and coming into genuine acceptance and genuine gratitude, there's an urgency in that realization. So faith for me is that understanding that there's something unseen that is operating that I can't know, but I have to know that it's there. There's just that simple knowingness in my heart, and that I turn to the eternal truths of truth, love, and beauty. And then whenever I'm having a challenging time, it's my faith, not the faith of dogma or the faith of, repeating affirmations or rituals. It's this deep, unwavering knowingness that life is constantly changing, that change can operate for my good too, but meeting the moment as it is. So with his story and watching him and his faith, because there's a scene where she's next to him in bed and he's fallen asleep, with the Bible on his chest. It's that turning to that which is greater to give me the strength. So for me, that faith, you've got hope, which is this flame on the candle. For me, faith is that bright light just shining the way that's just illuminating me from the inside out so that I know that the universe is here and operating on my behalf, and it's expressing as me, as the I am as me. And I have to have that affirmative mindset at the evidence of things not seen, but holding in my heart that revelation of that which is seeking to reveal itself. So with the hope and faith, it's how we walk in the world. We're present to what is. We don't want to deny the reality. I don't want to do a metaphysical bypass or, and just say, oh, it's all good. No, there's some things that are not good. There's suffering. I have to bear witness to that, whether it's my life or other people's life. But what is good is the possibility of not shutting down in hopelessness, but standing in that power of my faith, that there's a power for good and I can use it and I'm being called to use it. So I don't turn my back on the world. I don't turn my back on the people that I love, and that I let my faith be the light for the people who may not be experiencing faith. So when I asked my mother, like I said, I grew up Catholic. She's from Italy. And she had a very challenging time when, her and my father, she met my father at a dance up in northern Italy. And then without knowing the language or anybody, I had my brother over there. He was 6 months old. She's here. And they struggled when he got out of the army and he couldn't find a job. And she was deep in her faith. So her prayer practice was non-negotiable. So my mother prayed the rosary. She said her prayers. She grew up with that. But she said there was one day when I was, a baby, and there was Robert, and all they had was a bag of, pinto beans. And she was just like on her knees begging God for this $100 check to arrive. And I go, so what kept you strong? And then literally after she prayed, the check arrived. In our tradition, we don't beg and beseech, but for my mother, she was so desperate in that moment. And she goes, it was my faith. It was my faith in God. I just knew that I had to be taken care of. But in that moment, she goes, I was so desperate. And she goes, I got on my knees and prayed. For us, we may not get on our knees. We go into our hearts. We know and affirm the truth. We allow ourselves to experience vulnerability. We allow ourselves to experience if fear arises. We don't allow fear to take over, because fear is really the misuse of the law. And we don't want hope to be embedded in fear. Like when someone says, I hope that happens, that's doubt. We take faith, the spiritual principles and practices that we know, to give us a strength that whatever the situation or circumstance, that something good is coming from this or arising through me, so I may participate in being that creative solution in whatever the situation is. So here's the question that I ask you. Where in your life did you experience something where that one little glimmer of hope kept you going? For me, it was just that time when I was really sick, and that one friend would just call me at the right time and then remind me that there is a purpose for my life, right? So I'm in my 30s. I'm deathly ill in Los Angeles, and I get that one phone call, and it literally just turned up the candle flame just a little bit more. And then that unwavering faith, even in the depths of illness, that I know there was a purpose for me more than that, but I was learning from that. And that's what the whole process of faith for me was like. There's something greater that's seeking to reveal. But right now, I feel like, whatever words I use, right? But I held on to that light of that possibility, of that opening, of that expansion. And when I was told I would never get well, and I did get well, that was hope and faith that carried me through that process. So hope requires us to stand in the open possibilities, but not cling to like a certain way it needs to show up, to trust that there's a greater reality that's operating as our lives, and I'm allowing whatever to flow. I meet the moment. I meet the moment with wise hope, with open possibilities, with these positive expectations, but not positive in the way that it's denying. Like I said, I don't want to be in spiritual denial if someone is, experiencing cancer or some kind of loss, but I stand in the spiritual truth that there's a power greater than this individual life, but it's expressing as and through me and as and through all beings everywhere. And then how can I actually open up to greater revelation in the moments? So faith for me is that touchstone of truth, of the things unseen. That truth, beauty, love, those qualities of God that are present reveal themselves. They cannot be destroyed. There is no beginning or no end to that which is the divine. And my faith, that becomes that touchstone of truth, of just being present to that. That which is my light can never die. The form will eventually release at some point, but that which is the light of God as my life cannot be harmed. But I can ask for help when things are difficult in this human realm. And I can stand in the possibilities instead of sinking into hopelessness or pessimism or the race consciousness that sometimes we're seeing, just, the swirl of energy, and where I can be that place of peace, where that peace that is within, that deep harmony and peace within is so still in the moment that nothing can shake my faith. Nothing. I can bear witness to what's happening, but nothing is going to make me doubt that love is greater than what I'm seeing in the world. And that I call forth in that place of conscious, active participation. Because it's just like plants, right? So I had this one plant here at my apartment, and it didn't grow very big because I had it over here actually, so it wasn't getting enough light. I didn't know that. And so I bring it to my mom. She's got a green thumb. And all of a sudden there's more light and this plant has just blossomed. And it's the same with hope and faith. You just got to add extra light. You just have to open yourself to that deeper understanding. Call for prayer when you need prayer. Call for, someone to accompany you in a difficult time, just to bear witness to what you're experiencing. But that faith becomes the way that you can just, in this world, know that God is greater than this human experience and condition. It's expressing as us, but what we're seeing, that false notion of separation when it's playing out in the world, that I got to know that I'm that light, I'm that portal for that possibility. I'm the flame keeper because that flame is here in my heart. So in your personal life, think about the time where hope was right there for you. And then how did it evolve into a deeper faith? How did it make you stronger? What lifted you in those moments? Like my mother, her prayer practice, her faith lifted her through many difficult times. And now she's a great grandmother, all right? This Italian beautiful woman who got to hold her great grandbaby. But that steadiness of her faith kept her going. And the steadiness of her belief in this greater reality kept her going. So for us, it's understanding that no matter what the situation or human experience is, God's greater than all of that. And we touch upon those realities of joy and peace and love and understanding and wholeness. And we become that place for compassion to reveal itself. And when we are in a good place, we are that beacon of light for others as we walk through certain moments of darkness together, because you cannot see that light without the darkness, right? And so we move through this world in hope and faith so that greater peace that knows no human understanding is undisturbed. But it's okay, though, in the human experience, when you are rattled a little bit, but then turn to your heart, turn to that place of love, turn to that place of peace so that it can give you the strength and to build that faith, to remember those times when you didn't think a situation was going to happen. Just like when the doctor told me I would never be well. And I said, yes, I will. And then I turned yes, I will to yes, I am. And the yes, I am took 10 years, but I am. And so we allow that revelation to unfold, the patience, the courage, the persistence. We stay open to what is present. We don't try to detail what we want, but we see what is present, and we allow our hope to be our heart to be open, so that hope and faith can reveal itself moment to moment. And then we just meet God, the presence in all possibilities. So I just want to share one last little thing that reminded me of hope. Actually, two. A quote is from Pablo Neruda, the Spanish poet, but I love this because, things happen in the world and we can lose sight of the possibilities. We could try to fall into hopelessness, but he says, you can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming. You can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming. For me, that's faith and hope. And then this comes from a Facebook page that it's called We Are Teachers. And this teacher wrote, in the spring of 2020, I had my 7th graders write a 6-word memoir. I'll never forget my favorite one. Brave birds still fly through fog. We were all silent after she read it. And then I whispered with genuine awe, oh, wow, you're the teacher now. So hope and faith, brave birds still fly through fog. That inner sight, that inner light that leads us even through the darkness or the fog. So the invitation is during the season of Advent, the season, leading into Christmas and into the winter solstice, is to go within lovingly and just notice places where the candle flame is still there or the light is bright. And maybe someplace you just want to tend to and add a little bit more light. And let your prayer life lead you. And let that knowingness of the oneness of God actually reveal moment to moment all that is good in your life. And then be that place, be that light for people in the world, one-on-one, donating somewhere, holding the space, not engaging in the chaos that we're seeing, but just standing in that peace in your heart and that love in your heart and that place in your heart, so that you can be that revelation of the possibility. So when someone feels hopeless or pessimistic, you radiate that light of that wise hope, that open heart, that revelation of truth. And enjoy the season. It goes by fast. Like I said, I now have a great niece. I'm looking forward to that. But moment to moment presence. And so let hope be that candle flame. Let faith be that light. Let peace be your touchstone. Let love lead the way. So I invite you just to close your eyes and let us just turn within. And in that awareness of the presence of God, we allow that faith, that hope, that light, that love to circulate and radiate as our beingness. It's in the truth of the power that is God that I know that all that God is, I am, and each person here is. And so each one of us gets to be that beacon of light, that beacon of truth, that beacon of love in the midst of the darkness. And to know that the darkness is just that drape so the lights can shine. But in this day-to-day world and all that is happening out in the world, that we are the space and the place of the revelation of the one mind and the one heart and the one love that is God. So the invitation is to allow hope, faith, peace, love, and joy to reveal itself moment to moment, breath by breath, and to be that beneficial presence on this planet. And then when challenging times do arise, to turn to the light, to turn to prayer, and to turn towards others to pray for each one of us so that we may stay strong and remain in our hearts to the truth of our being. That spiritual beings having this human experience, that light is always more powerful than the darkness. So I'm grateful for this time. I'm grateful for the revelation of truth. I'm grateful for any hearts that might have been touched. And I'm just grateful to know that God is all that there is. Love is all that there is. And that I stand in that faith and knowingness that this truth reveals itself in, through, and as each person now and in every breath, every moment. So knowing that it is what it is and it's all good in God, I just let this word be and the divine activity of the law, and just blessing it and blessing each person here and blessing Unity of San Jose and blessing Reverend David. I just call it good and beautiful, and I let go. I let God.
And that was perfect timing because I think I lost Veronica's signal right there for a second. So I say amen. And I say, and so it is. And thank you, Veronica. And I just spotlighted Harold to close this idea for the song.
Okay, wow. I have to get it in front of me now. I lost my place. I was so enthralled by what she was saying. Sorry. Um, you can cut all the flowers, but you can't keep spring from coming. Brave birds fly through the fog and can maybe navigate by humming. And light has more power than the darkness, and love will lead the way. Optimism is contagious. Say it loud and sing it strong. Optimism is contagious. Pick it up and pass it on. Hope is a place where one smiling face can make a difference, where positive messages dance past the edges of doubt. It's a ripple, it's a rhythm, it's a movement, it's a beating of drums. Oh, and you can't help but move to its music when it comes. And optimism is contagious. Say it loud and sing it strong. Optimism is contagious. Pick it up and pass it on. Rocks can be smoothed and tides can be moved by the moon. Armies disarmed and snakes simply charmed by a tune. It's a candle, it's a beacon, it's a comet, it's a constellation. Oh, so just let yourself go and bask in the glow of illumination. Optimism is contagious. Say it loud and sing it strong. Optimism is contagious. Pick it up and pass it on. Oh, simply defined, it's a state of mind. Do you want to stand in the dark? Or do you want to shine? Oh, optimism is contagious. Say it loud and sing it strong. Optimism is contagious. Pick it up and pass it on. Pick it up and pass it on. I couldn't help but pick it up and pass it on. The message came so strong. Pick it up and pass it on. Yeah. Pick it up and pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Amazing as always. Thank you, Reverend Veronica. It's funny, when 2 minutes before you said the word touchstone, I wrote down the word touchstone. And I just want to use that as just the basis of our closing prayer here at the end of our community prayer here, where I just think about touchstone, and I think about just feeling a stone, a cold stone in my hand, and thinking about how solid it feels and how sure it feels, and how I can always reach for that solid touchstone that is faith. And another idea that Veronica talked about was being a flame keeper. So right now, I just invite all of us to be a flame keeper and to stand in that light for anybody who's suffering right now. So I think about Gaza, where it's 2:48 in the morning right now. I think about Ukraine, where it's 2:48 in the morning. I think about people on both sides suffering. So I hold a light. I hold a light for every person who's suffering, and I hold a light for every person who's blaming. And I hold a light for every person who has a potential solution. And I hold a light for every person who's willing to shake hands with someone of the opposite viewpoint. I'm holding a light for every hostage. I'm holding a light for everyone who is food impoverished, looking for just basic care right now. For the whole world right now, I'm holding that light. And for anybody that you'd like to add to this prayer, just see their faces. For all the people in your circle who you would like to bring into this prayer, just see their faces, light. Knowing that one prayer can change everything. I'm so grateful for this, and so it is. And I'm going to share my screen. And I invite you to say with me, oh, and before I do this, I want to just thank everyone again for their participation in our gratitude fundraiser, where we went from not thinking that we would even come close to half of our goal because we couldn't get the fundraiser on Facebook, to by far exceeding any gratitude fundraiser that we've had to date because of your generosity. So it's so appreciated. So on behalf of the board, I say thank you. And I know that these blessings are returned to each one of you multiplied abundantly. And that's the law of circulation. So in honor of that, say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. These generous love offerings do good work in our community and beyond, and they are returned to us, multiplied abundantly. And so, Linda, you have some announcements for us. I'm going to spotlight you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Veronica and Harold, for your beautiful message and the music. We always enjoy having you and look forward to the next time you come back. We hope you will join us next week at next week's service with David Alt and Margot Leduc. Join David at our midweek gathering this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Zoom. You can use the same Zoom link that you used for this service. We will not have service on December 24th, but we will gather in person on New Year's Eve at 7 p.m. for an evening of meditation, visioning, journaling, and music with Troy Arnett and Reverend David. Please RSVP in the link on our website or newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. And I just wanted to, I'm not going to read this, but it's a hand wave of where I am in my progress. The yellow areas, this is my ministerial school progress. The yellow areas I've completed. The white areas I have left to complete, and I have a lot of papers to write, which you might see. Those are all 5-page papers, and the bottom one is a 10-page paper. And then I have panel interviews in March, 3 panel interviews with 2 ministers each. I just finished a progress interview a couple of days ago. And I did my church visit. I've done all these things, and I can see the light. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The goal is ordination. Hopefully that will happen, and I will hopefully find out about whether I'm approved for that by April 1st. So I thank you for your patience and your support, and I thank the board on their support of me in this journey. So let's say together, all these words we hear again, let's just feel them in our heart as we say together, the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God moves through us. I am that power. The grace of God expresses as us. I am that grace. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And Harold, you have one more song for us, yes?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we skipped it or not. So I changed my mind. I thought it was going to come before, and so I changed to a different song, and I'm going to keep that one. It's a little more pensive, unless you want me to do something more upbeat.
I trust your wisdom.
As you said, there is a divine order of things. Every cell knows what to do. It flows in me, and it flows in you. 'Cause we are part of something greater, part of something greater than any one of us could ever be. We are part of something greater, something so much greater than any one of us could ever be. We are all joined together in our hearts, in our minds, and in our souls. We are part of something greater, part of something greater than any one of us could ever be. We are part of something greater, part of something greater than any one of us could ever be. We are all joined together in our hearts, in our minds, and in our souls. We are part of something greater, something so much greater than any one of us could ever be. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you changed your mind about that closing song, because my personal preference is always for the more introspective songs, and I love that.
Thank you.
Harold, it's just amazing. And Veronica, thank you for just the tapestry that you both wove, and thank you everyone for co-creating this service here today together.